Have you ever wondered how to start seeing real change happen in your life? A lot of people have that question. I'm going to jump in that today here on 5 Minute Mentoring. Have you ever wanted to have someone in your life who you could ask real questions about your art, your business, and even your walk with the Lord? Well, that's exactly what we do every Friday here on 5 Minute Mentoring, where I answer one question from one of my awesome podcast listeners in order to help you start really thriving as the artist you know God created you to be. Well, hey there, my friend. Sometimes getting started in anything is the hardest thing. A blank canvas or just starting a project or understanding how do I just get going in whatever it is God's called you to do. Sometimes that can be really overwhelming, even paralyzing. That was the case for my friend Ethan, who had a question. He was like, Matt, I got a goal, I got a vision, but I get off track. I'm like one step forward, two steps back. I'm not just quite sure how to get some structure happening in my life to start seeing progress being made. Well, listen, Ethan, I can absolutely, understand. I've been through that same thing before in my life. And I teach so much structure inside our mentoring program. But, I was sitting at church the other day after I'd read your question, and my pastor, Nick Honerkamp, gave a great example out of Genesis of how God begins to build growth in our life. And he was using the example of Adam and Eve. When God began to form Eve, how did he start? He started with a bone. And everything in your life where growth is concerned, it starts with structure. See, think about yourself as a person, all right, as a physical body. If you didn't have structure, if you didn't have the skeletal system inside of you, you'd just be a blob of flesh, all right? But so a lot of times artists especially resist structure. Sometimes we think it's not artsy, sometimes we think it's not spirit-led or whatever, but listen, everything that God has built in the universe is built within a beautiful structure. Structure is not a bad thing. Structure is the way that things get built and established. And so the first thing I would say is that as you're looking to start seeing real transformation in your life, ask the Lord to start to show you how to begin to build structure in your life. Structure in your schedule, structure in the way you're approaching your art, structure in the way you're building your skills, you're developing your marketing, building relationships with clients, all of that. There needs to be a structure in your life, not to rule you, not to push you down, not to be oppressive, but just to give you a path to run on. I often say, when you think about in terms of a river, for example, a river is just a bunch of water and a flood and can be dangerous unless it has banks to flow in. And again, that's bringing that structure. All right, so structure is a good thing. The second thing that he mentioned was tendons. As you begin to have the skeletal system, then tendons come in. Well, what are tendons about? They're about connection. You can't grow and you can't sustain growth in your life without meaningful connection with God and with others. And that's one of the biggest things I see artists struggle with: loneliness, frustration, feeling like they're the only one that's dealing with these certain issues or whatever. That's why we see so much accelerated growth happening in the mentoring program that I have, Created to Thrive, because it's an intentional community of artists really growing together. So if you're looking to have transformation happen in your life, first the structure, and then pair that with authentic connection with other people. Now, the third thing, as you're thinking about a skeleton, would be muscles, right? And Pastor Nick said, and I love this, he's like, your muscles are like the unique strengths that you bring to the game, that you bring to this calling of God on your life. And so I think for us as artists, well, what are the unique things that we bring? What are the unique talents, the unique perspectives, the unique skills that we bring? Those begin to fill out the structure, all right? Those begin to really give meaning to the connection so that all of that starts to work together. And then fourth is skin. If you were just a bunch of muscles sitting there, you'd be kind of gross, right? So you want to have skin. That is, you've got to learn then how to present and protect what it is that God is doing in your life as He begins to grow you. A lot of artists are really talented, but they've not learned how to actually present themselves in the marketplace, present themselves in relationship to others. And that's what that skin is all about. So as you start to see change, it's important to make sure that you're giving thought to not just the internal work that God's doing, not just the internal work of what it means to be an artist, but also the external work as well. All right? How are you viewed in the marketplace? How are you interacting with other artists and with other clients? How are people relating to your story? That's really, really huge. And then the last, and I love this because it goes to the core of what I've taught for years about being filled and skilled out of Exodus 31. The fifth thing, if you look at how God was breathing into Eve, it's His breath. It's His breath. When God formed Adam from the dust, he was just a bunch of dust until what? Until the breath of God came into him. And my friend, listen, that's where the life comes. That's where the power of the Holy Spirit comes. You can have all the structure. You can have all the connections. You can be super talented. You can have all the great client-facing different things, marketing and all that going on in your life. But if you don't have the breath and the life of the Holy Spirit moving through your creative process, moving through your business as an artist, helping you to understand how to walk every day as you develop your business, you will be frustrated. You'll end up striving, or you'll end up totally paralyzed, wondering why God left you on the side of the road. And listen, He didn't leave you. He's just waiting for you to invite His breath into what you're doing. Listen, as you begin to build all of that, the structure, the connections, your unique strengths, your outer shell as well, and then inviting the Holy Spirit into that whole process, all of a sudden you will begin to see change happen in your life. All right? Hey, I hope this has been really encouraging for you. I'll see you next time. And remember, you were created to thrive. Bye.